Hey everyone, I'm Danny and welcome to Muggle Magic. Today we're going to be making an Ollivanders wand display, and I based this on the wand display that is visible in the Ollivanders wand shop window. This was a request of the headmistress over on Patreon. Her name is Cass. She's awesome, and she's requested so many great things. That's one of the things that the headmistress or headmaster does on Patreon is once a month, they tell me something to make and I make it. So yeah, it's been really cool of her to sort of push the boundaries on these DIYs. I am not a woodworker in any way, shape, or form, but I really like how this turned out and I learned a lot, and I'd like to work with things like this in the future as well. And it was really cool sort of pushing the limits of what I usually do and changing things up. So Cass, thank you so much for this awesome request. Anyways, yeah, Cass is actually retiring as the headmistress after this month. So September, she will no longer be the headmistress, but she will still be a patron. So that's awesome. I just wanted to let you guys know that the position of headmistress or headmaster will be open on the 1st of September. So if anybody wants it, it's first come, first serve. You can go ahead and check out the link in the description box below to Patreon to see what it's all about and everything. So yeah, go ahead and check that out. We are going to be putting the Ollivanders logo on this, and the one that I make in this video today is going to be sort of like a mini wand display. It can hold 3 wands, but you could easily take this technique and create something larger. And so I am including a high-res, very large version of the Ollivanders logo. So you can download that and scale it to whatever size you want in order to use it as a template to fit your wand display. So go ahead and check out the description box below for a list of supplies you're going to need, as well as the free template, and let's get started. You'll need wood, of course. I found some hobby wood that I thought would work perfectly. It was already cut into circular shape, so that was a big plus since I have no means of cutting wood into a circular shape. We're going to glue these 2 circular pieces together. You might be able to skip this step depending on what wood you use. It may be thick enough. Mine wasn't thick enough. I'm using Gorilla Glue to accomplish this. Just squeeze some glue on each side that you want to glue, spread it out with a cloth, and then clamp the 2 pieces together, and you're good. The glue should probably sit for about 24 hours before you take the clamps off. Once the glue's dried, we're going to cut the circle in half. And I measured it as best as I could to draw a line down the center so I could follow that while I cut the wood with a table saw. I also measured and cut down the rectangular wood that I bought, and that's what I'm going to use for the base of the stand. Now, okay, our wood is glued and cut. If there's any glue still left on the outside, like on the curved edge of the circle or half circle, you can just go ahead and use a pocket knife to sort of cut and peel it away and then sand it down. Now we're going to use a special technique to age the wood. We want to bring out the grain to make it look old and kind of aged. You'll need an electric drill and a wire brush bit. Do this next part very carefully and slowly though, so you don't hurt yourself. In fact, you might want to wear some woodworking gloves just to be safe. I won't be wearing gloves since I don't own any. I'm so prepared. Anyway, what you want to do is use the wire brush on the wood. I had to push down pretty hard to get the grain and the texture to come out like what I was looking for, but my electric drill is not extremely powerful, so if you have a powerful one, you might not have to push down so hard. You want to sort of brush the wood in one direction with the wire brush as you go, almost as if you're coloring it or painting it, if you can imagine that. Also, move the wire brush across the wood in the same direction the bit is spinning. If you try to go the opposite direction, it is not going to be easy. You might also have to do a few different coats of this, like I did, in order to get the texture that you're looking for. The more you go over the wood with the wire brush like this, the more pronounced the grain will become, because the wire brush is sort of chipping off all the pieces of wood in between the grain of the wood. The wood will also take on sort of like a scratched look, which is pretty cool too, and you can sand some of that away when you're finished. Now it's time to stain the wood. I'm using dark ebony stain for this. I tried to pick a color that closely matched the actual prop at Ollivanders that I looked up online. I found images of it through the Ollivanders shop window. So, I mean, it looked really cool and I wanted mine to look like that. If you opt to use the same stain that I did, one coat should do it. I just did one coat and it looked perfectly fine to me. Just brush one coat of stain over the wood. I used a foam brush, but you could also use a rag if you want to, just to wipe the stain across the wood. The longer it sits, the darker it's gonna get. Wait about 30 minutes to 1 hour, then wipe the excess away with a rag. You could also let it set overnight just to make sure that it's completely dry before you continue. Now we'll be attaching the half circle part to the base. Measure it first so you know you're drilling the holes in the right place. I measured the placement of the holes on the half circle first, then I used the half circle to kind of like help me center it on the flat board that I'm going to use for the base and find the hole placement for that so they would match up. You'll need a drill and a bit and some screws, of course. The size of the bit will depend on the size of screws that you're using. So just kind of take a look at that before you start. I started off drilling 2 holes on the base and the half circle. I then drilled with a larger bit on the base to accommodate for the large tops of the screws so the stand would sit flat when finished. This kind of like chipped away some of the wood that I didn't really want it to, but I wasn't too upset about it because it's the bottom of the stand, so no one's really going to see that. So once you do that, you can add wood glue to the flat side of the half circle just to sort of reinforce this, and then use your drill and screws to attach the 2 pieces together. In my case, the screws weren't large enough or strong enough to really hold the half circle to the base very tightly like I wanted it. It kind of like wiggled like a loose tooth or something. So I fixed this by drilling a 3rd and larger hole and screw into the center of the base, and that really held it together. So I think you kind of need some pretty thick, heavy-duty screws for this. Just try not to make them too long or else you won't be able to drill the holes for your wands. And finally, we need to drill some larger holes around the curve of the half circle so we can put some wands in the display. This was a bit tricky and really takes a bit of eyeballing when it comes to the angle that you need to drill this in. What I did was I drilled the very top and center hole first. Next, I measured from that a hole along the curve with a measuring tape, and I marked where I wanted the next holes to go on either side. Since this is a smaller display, I could only fit 3 wands in it, but if you're building a larger one, you can do that, and you could probably fit about 5 or even 7 in there. However many you choose to do, just keep in mind it needs to be an odd number. So here's some tips. It's a good idea to know which wand you're going to be putting in each of these holes. That way you can make the hole just the right width. I started off just using a bit that was way too large. For my first hole, I figured if it was a larger bit, I could fit any number of wands in there. It doesn't really matter if it's just the right size for the specific wand. But that ended up being a bad idea because now the wand just kind of sits crooked. I'm not a woodworker by any means, so this was a big learning experience for me as well. To make the next 2 holes, I drilled what I thought would be a bit small for the wands. Then I tested the wands to see if they would fit. Then I drilled the holes just a little bit larger and tested the wands again. And I just kept doing that until the holes were the right size for these in particular wands. That top hole though, I did end up fixing it. And what I did was pretty simple. I just took some cardstock and wrapped it around the tip of my wand until there was enough layers to where if I inserted it with the cardstock, it would sit straight and it wouldn't wobble around at all. Then I just snipped the paper to size so you couldn't really see it when the wand is in there. And I even colored the top of the paper black so that even if you kind of looked up from above and kind of looked down into the display, you still couldn't see the white of the paper. And it looks perfectly fine now. It wasn't really ideal to use paper to make it fit, but there was no way around it since I drilled the first hole too large. And there's no way to undo or go back like I can when I'm working in Photoshop with paper projects. So now you should be at this point right here. And I really love the way the texture of this turned out. And the staining on this, yes, it looks old and it looks imperfect. And that's exactly what I was going for. I love the way this looks. And I was considering putting a clear coat finish on this of some kind. I didn't want to do it glossy because I just do not like that glossy look when it comes to wood. But yeah, I was going to do a matte finish, but looking at it now, I think this is almost exactly what I wanted it to look like. So I am not going to put a matte finish on this. Now there are some imperfections on here. Next time around, I would try to maybe do a little bit better. The first one, of course, is the hole at the very top. It's too big. But as you can see, the other holes fit the wands just right. And I think this turned out really good. These two holes are not quite perfect, and that's another thing that I might want to look into how to do a bit differently next time around. I would like them to be perfect circles just because I am kind of a perfectionist, and I would like that to not be, it's kind of like an oval shape and the edges are pretty rough. I, next time around, would probably do everything the same up to the point where I finished using the wire brush on the wood. And then at that point, I would go ahead and drill the holes in here, attach the pieces together, drill these holes for the wands, finish all of that, and then do the staining of the wood. Because, I mean, once I had already done the staining and I drilled these holes in here, you can sort of see the lighter wood on the inside there, which isn't a big deal when the wands are inserted into it, but it's just a little annoyance. Okay, anyways, I do want to get an Ollivanders logo on here in gold. I'm going to use this gold marker. I've got this Deco Foil or Deco Foil Premium gold foil marker, and this thing is awesome. I definitely recommend getting this. So what I've done is I've printed out an Ollivanders logo, and just to see where it will go and make sure it's just the right size. And then I used this to create a Cricut template. And you can't really see it, but this is sticker paper, and it has Ollivanders logos in just the right size cut out. So all I need to do, well, the plan anyways, is to use this gold marker to color this logo gold and then use it to just stick it right here. I don't know how it's going to turn out because this is the first time I'm really doing something like this on wood, but I'm hoping that it's going to turn out good. And we won't know until we try, so I'm going to do it right now. All right, there we go. So I have gold foiled this Ollivanders logo. And the next thing I need to do is peel it up from this paper. And this is going to be sort of difficult. You will definitely need to use a few tools because this is so small. If you were doing a larger logo, it would be much easier, but there's so many little intricate things in here that could rip. You want to be very careful. So I am using these Cricut tools that came with my Cricut. So the idea is just to sort of get some of this to peel up with this sort of hook tool. And you want to find a good place to start. So I guess this part that's coming up automatically right here would be a great place to start. And then you can use these sort of tweezers to help you hold it in place and peel it up without damaging the sticker or any of the smaller parts below. Oop, I almost ripped it. You have to be really careful because the bottom part is sticky and it will stick to your tools. Those little stars are very difficult to get. In fact, I'm going to just leave that one as is and try and get that last. So I'll just keep peeling away this. Oop, I just ripped the star off, but I think I can place it without any issues. Just have to be careful from this point on. This is very difficult. I don't know if this is going to work. If not, I'm just not going to put the Ollivanders logo on here because this was my plan. There we go. Okay, yes, this is looking good. I'm happy so far. As long as I don't mess anything up. Okay, there we go. So I have part of the O right here. I'm going to go ahead and stick that right here on the wand display. Okay, this is not easy, but I think it's going to be worth it when we're done. Just sort of use your tools to get the shape right. Stick this down. Okay, now there's just a couple of smaller pieces left on the sticker sheet. There is a small curve that needs to go right here, and then there's a star that needs to go at the end of it. Here's the small curve, and it's sort of a broken curve right there. Here we go, and then the last piece is this little star. You can probably barely see it in the camera, but it goes right here on the end of the spiral. All right, we did it. It worked. Now, once you're done sticking this on, you might want to take a piece of paper or something and just push it down as good as you can, because you don't want this peeling up. In fact, if you are going to put a finish on this, like a clear coat of some kind, do this first so that you can put the finish over top of this. And there we go. We have our gold Ollivanders logo on the wand stand, the wand display. I think that looks pretty good. And so if we put it all together, I'm using this owl wand, or maybe it's a raven. I can't tell exactly what it is. I think it might be a raven, but this came in a Geek Gear box. It's one of the Geek Gear wands. I'm also using George's wand. We're gonna put this right in here. And then of course, we need to put the Elder wand in there. So the Elder wand's gonna go right here in the middle. And there we go. We have our Ollivanders wand display. I really hope you guys liked this video. It was so much fun to put together, and this I am actually going to be gifting to Cass for being an awesome headmistress. So unfortunately there won't be like a giveaway link in the description for this in particular item. I kind of wanted this to be something special to send over to Cass, so yeah. But there are other giveaway links down there, such as my 50K giveaway. It's gonna be a Muggle Magic mystery box just full of stuff. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in, the giveaway link's in the description box below. Let's end this video with the featured comment. So the featured comment for today was on my Bazaar box DIY. And on that video, Danny Kaplan, I think that's how you pronounce your name, Danny Kaplan. It's D-A-N-E-E. Anyways, she says, I Googled it to see what it really was, and it says it's Bezoar instead of Bazaar is what I was pronouncing it. Polymer clay is the obvious answer on how to DIY them, because I just used rocks because they look like little circular stones. But yeah, I kind of wanted to DIY them to make them look more like they did in the movie, more like real Bazaars or Bezoars. The label looks amazing, but your graphic design work is so amazing that that is a given. You never disappoint. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that a lot. But I swear, Bezoars, I swear Dumbledore said Bazaars.
Quick thinking on your part, Harry, using a Bazaar.
If you'd like your comment to be featured in the next video, just go ahead and leave a comment on this video. I go through and usually either read the top comment from likes to dislikes or whatever, or I'll just pick a random one throughout there that I think is interesting. So yeah, just go ahead and leave a comment below and maybe it'll be featured in the next video. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Remember, I get a lot of ideas for these DIYs that I do from your comments. So if you have an idea for something that you want to see me do in the future, definitely leave a comment below and let me know. If you're interested in seeing more DIY videos having to do with Harry Potter and more, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.